Hello, and welcome to this video on how I learned to manage my finances at the beginning of my financial freedom journey. If you're new here, my name is Kayla, and on this channel, I document my experiences with money, self-growth, and life as I work towards financial freedom. Check out my channel introduction video, where I explained why I am chasing after financial freedom and what it means to me. I am not financially free yet, but it is my goal to find my own path there eventually. This video is the first of a mini-series about my journey to financial freedom, where I will be sharing my experiences with things like managing my finances, investing, and building additional income streams. I will share my journey from the beginning to present, including the steps that I've taken, the mistakes that I've made, and the lessons that I've learned along the way. If you are also on a personal finance journey of your own, I hope that this mini-series will provide you with some insights and help you to avoid the mistakes that I have made. That said, I want to emphasize that personal finance is personal. The financial decisions and choices that I will be sharing in the videos were based on my unique circumstances and my own judgment of the information that I was aware of at the time. I am not a financial expert, just someone on the internet who is figuring out her way to financial freedom. This video in particular will focus on the beginning of my journey about 6 years ago. My memory is a little hazy and I lost some of the Excel sheets that I was using to manage my personal finances when my previous laptop broke down years ago. I may not get the numbers exactly right, but I will share as accurately as I can recall. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. Once I had in mind the goal to achieve financial freedom, I had a lot of questions that I needed answers to. I knew I wanted to get there, but how? How many roads lead to the same destination? How long would each of them take? How would I know which one is most suitable for me? I started obsessively reading books, watching YouTube videos, and taking courses to accumulate as much knowledge as I could on this subject. One of the first things that I learned I needed to do was to understand the state of my personal finances. Understanding the state of my finances was about knowing my net worth and my cash flow situation. Net worth refers to the things that I own versus the things that I owe. In other words, assets versus liabilities. Cash flow is knowing where my money goes after my salary is banked in. It's about money inflow and outflow, or in other words, income versus expense. Net worth is calculated by subtracting our liabilities from our assets. Assets are what we own, such as cash in bank accounts, investments, and real estate. Liabilities are what we owe, such as credit card debt, education loan, mortgage, and unpaid taxes. Our net worth can be positive if we have more assets than liabilities, or negative if we have more liabilities than assets. At the beginning of my journey, I was just starting out in the labor market and living with my parents. I didn't have investments, real estate, or any other assets except the cash in my bank account and an endowment policy. My only liability was my education loan, which was taken from my mom's Central Provident Fund. In short, my financial situation looked something like this. Approximately $7,800 worth of cash in my bank account, and approximately $4,000 worth of surrender value from my endowment policy, assuming that I discontinue it before the end of the term. I had no intention of surrendering it early back then, so although this is technically savings and counted towards assets, it's not something that I could readily access. For liabilities, I had approximately $30,000 in education loan taken from my mom's CPF account. Subtracting my liabilities from my assets, my net worth was approximately negative $18,200. No one likes to see their net worth on the negative side. But whether we are starting out net worth positive or negative, the greatest asset that we can own is our attitude towards learning, improving, and making consistent progress towards our financial goals. Understanding your cash flow is about monitoring your income versus your expenses. Income is the money flowing into our bank accounts from our day job, side hustles, investments, etc. Expense is the money flowing out to pay for things such as food, rent, transportation, bill payments, clothing, and recreation. I had only one source of income, which was my day job. I've never been a big spender, but I lacked awareness of where my money was really going until this exercise. From what I can recall, 5 to 6 years ago, my rough numbers looked something like this. The take-home pay from my day job was $2,640. My monthly expenses were approximately $1,400 to pay for food, transportation, miscellaneous items such as leisure, clothing, and personal care, education loan repayment to my mom's Central Provident Fund account, and taxes. Yearly expenses included vacations, which were approximately $3,000 or $250 per month. Subtracting my expenses from my income left me with approximately $990. This translates to a 37.5% savings rate. Being thorough and honest with myself during this process was important in providing a true picture of the state of my finances. With the plain truth staring at me in the face, what next? I was anxious to start putting myself on the right track and removing anything that could slow me down or negatively impact my finances out of my life. What could I immediately do to move closer to my definition of financial freedom? I knew getting there would be a long journey and it's not something I could achieve overnight, but I needed a sense of progression. Though I was saving quite a bit of money and had paid off a portion of my education loan, there was still debt to my name. I could find ways to earn more money to pay off my loan faster, but that would take time. The only thing within my immediate control was my expenses. Having been through the exercise of tracking my expenses, I knew where my money was going and where I could make adjustments to increase my savings rate. These were some of the things that I did. Reducing unnecessary expenditure by identifying my needs versus my wants. For example, did I really need to buy a book when there was a copy available in the public library that I could borrow for free? Did I really need that cup of coffee from the coffee shop when I could make my own cup at home for less money? Swapping out items for less expensive alternatives. For instance, choosing free or inexpensive entertainment such as watching a movie at home over watching one at the cinema. Could I meal prep and make it easier for myself to have meals at home instead of getting takeout or eating out? Implementing this required changes to my day-to-day habits, and it was not easy initially. After going at this for some time, tracking my expenses became a habit, and I found fun in learning new things, such as meal prepping, that I probably wouldn't have done otherwise. Yes, I made mistakes and went beyond my budget on some occasions, but I managed to increase my savings rate gradually. If you want to find out more about how I have been dealing with budgeting challenges and cutting out unnecessary expenses in my life, check out these 2 videos. With the additional savings, I wanted to increase the repayments for my education loan to my mom's CPF account, but she didn't want to take it. She was only willing to accept $400 per month and nothing more, even to this day. Instead, she and my dad repaid my education loan using funds they had stashed away so as to take advantage of the CPF interest rate to grow their retirement nest egg. Even though my parents bailed me out of my education loan, I knew that I could actually have gotten into net worth positive territory on my own by increasing the repayments with the extra savings. In all honesty, at times, I doubted whether I could realize my dream of financial freedom. This was an affirming moment as I felt in control of my finances and my dream seemed a little more within reach. In addition to setting a budget, I also learned that having an emergency fund and insurance were crucial to maintaining good long-term financial health. These come in handy during unexpected incidents, such as job loss, personal accidents, medical needs, and having to replace an essential big-ticket item. We don't want such unfortunate events to wipe out our savings, or worse, cause us to liquidate our assets and get into debt to cover expenses arising from it. This will set us back and wipe out our progress towards financial freedom. Though I've always kept some money in the bank, I did not fully grasp the concept of an emergency fund until I started learning about personal finance. An emergency fund is a cash fund set aside for financial emergencies and that is readily accessible when needed. How large this fund should be varies from person to person, as it depends on personal circumstances and needs. As a general rule, I typically see suggestions to set aside between 3 to 6 months' worth of expenses as an emergency fund. With the additional savings from cutting my expenses, the money that I had in the bank already met what I was aiming for, which was at least 6 months' worth of living expenses. I opened a high-yield interest account and moved my money there to earn and accumulate interest since the money would be untouched except for emergencies. The bank account was also readily accessible if I needed the money urgently. Insurance is a contract in which an individual or entity pays an insurance company in exchange for financial protection or reimbursement of losses resulting from a covered event. There are several types of insurance policies, such as life, health or medical, home, and car insurance. If you are uncertain about the types of insurance and how much coverage you need, always seek the advice of a professional financial advisor. The endowment plan that I already had offered a protection element on top of the savings element. In Singapore, we have MediShield Life, which is a basic health insurance scheme. We are also automatically enrolled into a dependence protection scheme when we start working and making contributions to our CPF. This scheme provides basic financial protection for me and my family in the event of death, terminal illness, or total permanent disability. These are not occurrences that I like to think about, so I never really paid much attention to these insurance schemes. It was only when I learned about the importance of insurance in financial planning that I started doing so. I am so grateful for these basic schemes that were in place during the years that I was fairly clueless and ignorant about these things. I felt mentally at ease knowing that I had some form of financial protection in place if anything were to happen to me. On a side note, earlier this year I got a pure protection life insurance policy because I wanted more coverage beyond the basic schemes as I progressed further into adulthood and my life circumstances and needs changed. So by this point, I had an understanding of the state of my finances, was habitually tracking and reducing my expenses to increase my savings rate, and had an emergency fund and the necessary insurance plans in place. I was in this phase of my financial freedom journey for about 9 months before I started asking myself, how could I progress further in this journey? There's only so much that reducing expenses and increasing savings rate can do. I could save my way to financial freedom, but that would probably take a very, very long time. So I turned my focus to the other parts of the equation, growing my savings and increasing my income. Stay tuned as I will cover these in upcoming videos. Thank you for watching until the end of this video. Check out other videos on my channel if you enjoyed this one, and consider subscribing for more content. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!